Hey, Devansh, welcome to the Ignite Infra AI event.
Thank you for having me. Very
Oh,
excited.
it's really cool. And we have you as a featured speaker talking about what's been known as the circular economy, right? And I know you wrote a very influential paper on it. Give me a little bit more detail on how you define the circular economy.
Absolutely. So the circular economy is basically an idea that exists in all of economics, which is that eventually, if you trace the flow of money and value, A sells to B, B sells to C, and C sells to D, and so on until somebody sells back to A. And a lot of the analysis around AI has been around this assumption that, hey, circular economies are inherently bad or something sketchy, because you often see in very sketchy situations, you see this amplification through circularity. You basically keep passing money around each other, and you say that more and more we've done this much business, even though no net revenue is generated. That's the old joke with the economists and the GDP being like, oh yeah, we just traded money between each other and we created so much value for the GDP. Um, but really, the crux of my analysis was that there is no that the circularity in itself is just a feature of all of our economic setups. It's not inherently a good or a bad thing. The amplification through circularity can be used to engage in sketchy means, but really all of our economics relies on that. It's the basic assumption, right? You buy from Walmart, Walmart buys from a farmer, you're selling something to somebody else, maybe to a factory, and the factory is selling equipment back to the farmer. So that is also a circular economy. Now you're going to say agriculture is a Ponzi scheme? Obviously not, because there you can clearly see the value being generated. So really, the crux of what I wanted to communicate is that when you're analyzing whether something's a Ponzi or there's any kind of foul play going on, you have to look at the actual business. You can't just rely on these very broad stroke abstractions and call it a
Okay,
day.
well, let me jump in on that then and apply it to this crazy AI world we're living in today, right? Where OpenAI and Oracle and NVIDIA, AMD, on and on, those top players, those
Yes.
big names that we've all heard of, seem to be buying and selling from each other at quite a high frequency and quite a high volume. So that is circular in a way, right?
Yes.
So, and there's nothing inherently good or bad about that, is what you're saying. But all of them seem to be also producing profits, right?
Mhm.
They're all making money. So in a way, their system is working, right?
100%. And obviously not, OpenAI is not profitable, but all of its backers are.
And their revenue is
Microsoft,
going up.
yes, the revenue is going up. So that was one of the first indications you see that there's no foul play going on with regards to circularity, or at least specific to that, because of course, you have this closed loop system where basically hyperscalers are funding their own customers so that they can generate demand for themselves, and then they are saying we've generated so much new demand, and that looks sketchy on the surface, but a lot of industrial build-outs happen like that. You first have to put the money in and build things out so that there's capacity so that people can buy. And now what we're seeing is, because there's been so much capacity, OpenAI, Anthropic, etc., are able to give subsidized tokens to new customers.
Right.
They're bringing in people that would have never traditionally used the GPT-3 token prices when it was where it was in early 2022, early 2023, because now they're able to provide tokens at such a cheap rate that new customers are able to come in, and there you see the revenue spikes, and you see more and more people using
It's
AI
a
in
whole
various.
tokenization economy.
Yes, tokens have become an industrial good, honestly.
So as I look at these companies, and I don't look at them analytically, so you're going to please help me fill in some blanks here. I'm seeing hockey stick growth, both top line revenue and stock price performance, yes?
Mhm.
But you also have to follow that up with a similar growth on the bottom line.
Mm.
What are you seeing in forecasting for these companies on the bottom line growth?
So I'm not strictly just a financial analyst, so here my analysis won't be as robust as other people, because my area is looking at tech research and actually
Good,
building products, and
good.
then comparing that to whether the economics make sense, whether you want to invest in a stream of research or not. But we are definitely seeing a lot of revenue generated on all fronts. In fact, this is where industrial and application layers are slightly diverging. Application layers are currently heavily subsidized. So that's where the thing comes on. Oh, if you raise token prices tomorrow, half these startups will go to bankrupt, etc., which is a fair analysis. It misses a few other things about Jevons paradox, etc. But so with application companies, actually, you are seeing well-developed, well-architected ones actually exploding in all areas, but with a lot more of the more infra side, or
Yeah.
the ones that are trying to serve, become platforms. That bottom line isn't necessarily moving as well, just because we still haven't figured out what to do on how to get to the cutting edge performance. So we don't know where the best research head. So we're spending a lot of money trying to figure things out. You know, you're breaking new ground, and breaking new ground is always an expensive process. If you're like, I'm involved with a legal AI startup called Economies. There, we are, we know what to do, as much as you can in AI. We have a very clear vision. We know how to build, so we are able to optimize and keep all the additional miscellaneous costs of research very low. But if you were a company like OpenAI or Lovable, etc., where there's so much explosion, and you're trying to become a horizontal player, that's still very, very difficult. So that answer really depends on whether you're a very well architected vertical application company or a more horizontal kind of platform one. But that top line growth is true for all. And once we start to stabilize in AI, once we start to figure out what works and doesn't, then we will see even the horizontal bottom, like the horizontal players also have a very good increase in the bottom line.
Okay. Before I change topics, do you have anything else you want to say about the circular economy, and any thoughts about how that's evolving?
I do think there is, this is where like you have to kind of have a nuance in your criticisms. The argument that AI is overvalued is a very credible argument to make for some people. Like a lot of these companies and a lot of even ecosystems in AI might be extremely overvalued and will go to zero. But that again, when you have a very large ecosystem, that's to be expected. So I think where people are making a lot of bad analysis is they're saying, oh, look, this ecosystem is overrated and this ecosystem is influential, so the entire system is messed up, or that there is not enough, like this stream of research won't do any money, so there's no point in investing into it, not realizing that sometimes you go through, like, you have to fail to know where to
Yeah, in a
compete.
capitalist system, you inherently have winners and losers.
Yes. So like you have to have nuance in how you're analyzing the economic system, the circularity and everything else, where you have some players that are overpriced that might not work, but because the foundation is so solid with regards to demand, with regards to revenue growth, with regards to profitability of the backers, as you mentioned, it's always important to have that distinction in mind,
I
that
like it. Yep.
some
Yeah.
structures might collapse, but the underlying foundation will rise over time.
And what are you seeing as you look at new payment systems, financial systems, the growth of crypto, the growth of stablecoin, the growth of other platforms? Have you studied that a little bit as well?
Yes, to the degree where we're trying to analyze um, how payments would work in the age of AI. Would tokens continue to be the case? Are you moving more to outcome-based pricing, usage-based? Like, where is the line? Honestly, don't know yet. There's just so many people throwing out so many ideas.
They're all starting to rise. There's
They,
no arguing that, but it's how far will that usage go? How far will we see it
yes,
creep into
and
everyday business life?
and how sustainable will it be?
Uh-huh.
How, like, one of the things which makes an analyzing tech very hard is that most tech coverage and most tech research tends to focus on a very small ecosystem
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't necessarily translate over to, as you correctly pointed, how much will it flow over to general businesses? How much will it flow over to people who don't care about making the most efficient tech investments because they don't have access to the development and the technical team that can help them do that? All of those factors are still honestly up in the air. Um, so I don't know if we can have any good
Okay,
opinions on
but
it.
I'm going to have you back next year. You have to have answers for me about this, okay?
Oh yeah,
Devansh, thanks for spending some time. This has been fun talking about the circular economy and a lot of the different players that are involved in it. It's fun to watch. Thanks for sharing.
I'm excited. Yes, thank you for having me.
Cool.